Now broadcasting on your favorite podcast platform, it's the Maverick Do It Different podcast with your host, Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire. When you want to step up and dare to be different, when you will dare to be great and live up to your fullest potential, when you are ready to dare to be a maverick and live the life of your dreams, filled with abundance, passion, and joy, then it's time to listen to me, Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire, and the Maverick Do It Different podcast. Welcome, everyone, to this edition of Maverick Do It Different podcast. And today I've got a special guest because we do it different here. And what's different is this guy has it all together, doing it different and creating magic. Real estate investor in Southern California, journey over 20 years, started off as a handyman and developed and grew rehab project manager, home inspector, storage supervisor, property manager, and now contractor, licensed contractor. He is doing it all and then some. His team has flipped over 500 properties, not only in California, but also Las Vegas and Arizona and Chicago and Pittsburgh, and keeps on growing. Working closely also as a coach and a mentor. So he's been doing that for over 10 years, working closely with people to help them develop in the same space so that they can be powerhouse just like him. And today he's got with Anthony Patrick and his wife, Mindy, New Harvest Ventures, LLC, the real estate New Harvest Realty, Inc., the BBC Construction Inc., all these different ventures, all these different companies, and he is operating them with style and pizzazz and powerhouse that, well, it's just an honor to have him here. Please welcome to the podcast, Anthony Patrick. Welcome, buddy.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
Anthony and I have also known each other as colleagues, as friends. Gosh, it's been, has it been 15 years?
15 years, yes. We're still going, while others didn't.
Yes, yeah. Right before the show, we were kind of chit-chatting, talking about that, surviving the test of time, if you will, and understanding how to thrive in the up, down, and sideways of our economy. We've had tons of changes in the last couple of years. Anthony, you've had obvious success over now the decades. What do you attribute that success to?
Well, first, as you know, I'm a Christian man, so I'm going to have to start off the show through my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So, to each his own, but those are my, I need mentors in my life. So God is one. And then the success that I have is, and you as a maverick, you're just as successful about the 5 people around you, correct? So you have, and then one of the most successful that keeps me grounded is my beautiful wife, Mindy, right? Don't our wives put us in like, hey, after a while, and as well as I do, as we go forward, as the money comes in, and it happens to a lot of speakers today where they've gone out, or actually a lot of companies, they don't put back in their business or invest. So their brain gets a little bit too big and they buy things they don't need. Am I correct on that?
Sure.
So they'll buy a Lamborghini where you could have bought a house and kept it as a rental. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's being successful with the people around you and always being humble. You have to be humble. You know what I mean? Like my mother, I remember when she, 93, she's passed like 5 years ago. She always just say, be humble. It's not, and again, we do that cliche. It's not about how big your bank account is, what car you drive, or the house you own. It's how many lives you've touched in people's lives. Am I correct on that? So,
no question. And you and I connected on this right away. We both work with our wives closely. Our wives are by our side, and right. Our wives make us look so good. And it's the power of having just a great partner in this journey that we have, as well as our faith in God and our understanding that how we treat people matters. And it's something that you and I connected on so many years ago. And it's one of the reasons why we've created this friendship over the years is because we appreciate the same values, the same priorities in our life.
And just on one more thing to add to this, as we were, together, 15 years ago, and as we were, we weren't at the end of the totem pole, but we were there helping the speakers or the people to teach and stuff like that. We learned by their mistakes and the way they treated people. And I hate to say that, but it is what it is. And we would always joke afterwards, eating dinner or what have you. New York, I remember us talking, having a great conversation with your wife. And it was just like, hey, like, why are they doing it this way? If they did it this way and even just like, for example, when someone comes up to you, and I know I love the one thing, I don't know if our listeners know, you and your wife have the 2 foot rule, kiss every time you're like 2 feet. I love that. God bless you guys on that. But at the end of the day, if the people back then that would still be in business today, if they knew how to treat people like you and I did. And that's where I love you. And I mean, when you and your family, just the way you treated people, and then I seen that. You see real people, you know what I mean? Instead of worried about taking their money.
Yeah, that is why with you and I and how we connected, what we've experienced over the years is that when you treat people in a certain way, it doesn't always show up the way you want today, but over time, you always win. You always create more. You always have that, what you put out there, you get back. End of the day, karma that works for you. And it's what most people don't see right away. And so they get into business or they get into doing certain things in their world, and they want it now. They want it today. They get that impatience and they get desperate. And they treat people in that way. And they treat the world around them in that way, and that doesn't serve. And I think that's exactly what you were.
Yeah, but you got to remember, I believe you and I are different, and and other people are the same way. But what are you chasing? So you're chasing your dream, right? So what is your dream? To have a big house, to have all kinds of cars, to go on trips, to do on this. But so what are you doing? You're wasting money a lot. But yeah, go on trips. I'm not saying not to go on trips, and I'm not saying to have that nice car. I'm not saying that at all, but watch what you invest, because, unless you continue to be successful and go forward, well, who are you blessing? Like for me, one of my things is I help out and I bless our vets. I deal with over 19 different organizations here in Southern California, in San Bernardino County, Inland Empire, where we bless our vets. So all our rental properties, even though we get less amount, we can, instead of renting it for $1,700 a month, we'll rent it to the organization for our vets for maybe $1,400 a month. But we're renting to that organization, and it's not like a Section 8. And I'm not saying anything bad about Section 8, because everyone's like, oh, you don't like Section 8. And then they start bringing in different aspects why it's not the same. I'm blessing these vets that are homeless, and they have that, PTSD or whatever, post-traumatic syndrome, and we're giving them a place to stay, and they're putting 2 in a house, or blessing our battered women of the IE. People don't realize in San Bernardino County, and I don't know where you live, but women over 55, the percent of homelessness went up almost 18% last year. And in San Bernardino County during COVID in 20, we usually have 400 homeless people every year. It went up to 4,000. Now, remember, I'm very close to LA. So we got to be careful on that. So how are we blessing people? Like, how big can your pocket be? Right? So my thing I learned, I remember as a kid, I have to admit, like when I was 5 or 6, I was very greedy, me, like just a kid. And then as I got older, 21, I got, my mom bought me a nice 69 Camaro, or my aunt gave it to me, what have you. It was me. But then finally, when I gave a present and I seen that smile down the line, it turned my whole life around, was giving, right? From what can you give? Like, you give knowledge, we give knowledge, give my people money, buying them food. The bottom line at the end of the day, but it all comes back. And that's what I've learned. You pay it forward. And on my radio show, at the end of the day, at the end of the radio show, we always say, God bless, pay it forward, and be kind to others. And then I'll come in, wash your hands, because of the fact you've heard me on my radio, wash your hands. But at the end of the day, it's just paying it forward. Don't you believe? I just believe that's our humbleness to be successful in life.
No question. And it's so fascinating. Like I'm constantly giving charity, even within my Maverick community. And as people go through and they have tough times where people want to get more information, they want to do more, and I'll grace them into the program. And we do that on a regular basis. Every year we've got several that we grace into the program. And it's, man, it always comes back. The people are able to, whether it's succeed and pass it on and create more elsewhere, or they end up being such a contributing member to the community that it becomes a blessing just having them around, and all those pieces. And it's recognizing that. I looked at, one of the things over years I looked at is stepping up, and I call stepping up really reaching your fullest potential. And when you look to step up, when you look to reach your fullest potential, how many more people do you shift? Do you change? Do you touch? The opposite is also true, and it's what drives me, and I know drives you as well, is that when we step up, when we actually stretch ourselves and help all these other people, how many more lives like we change, in not just in the hundreds or in the thousands, but in the millions all around the world, because of the ripple effect. And because I stepped up 15 years ago, you've really been in this journey over 20 years now, in this particular journey or segment of your life. And how many people have we touched to change the world? And it's in the millions.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know, I'm also an umpire for USA Girls Fast Pitch Softball, and I'm also on staff for over here at the East District. But to make a long story short, I also sponsor a lot of the leagues, girls that make all-stars. There's a lot of single parents, mothers and fathers, that their kid makes all-stars, and making all-stars is it's money. Like, they have to travel to different areas and have hotels and stuff like that. So and there's 5 or 6 teams from Rancho that go out, or Upland or what have you. And even the girls basketball in Etowanda or things of that nature I've sponsored. But it's also touching the young, as far as meaning the ones that are underprivileged, that they'll come up to me and say, hey, Emmy Joby here wants to play all-stars, but they have no money to travel and the mom's barely making it. And it's like, okay, but please don't tell them that it's for me, and don't say it's a charity, because a lot of people, I'd rather give a hand up than a handout. You understand that, right? Yeah. So don't tell them, just say it was part of the league's funds and give them to them. And then I'll see them, and then I'll find out later on that Emmy Jo found out when she was like 16. You know what I mean? So it's just touching the lives of others. Like, you see how many from God to men that are entrepreneur that come work with me at my shop. But my wife and I getting like, hey, could you come to my graduation? You and your wife, you know what I mean? You guys have been special. And one of the real quick things that I want to say is, like, when their mom and dad are yelling at them, come on, Emmy, hit the ball. Come on, we're paying. And I'm the umpire. Time, coach, come here. If I hear one more word, because the little girl's crying, up on the, 10, 12-year-old crying because the mom and dad are just like on them. If I hear one more word from them too, you're gone, coach, they're gone. And you can see little Emmy Jo like, yes, he's my favorite umpire. But you know what? It's just treating everybody with respect. You know what I mean? Yep. But it's just helping others. Like you said, millions, and it goes into, we have girls from Michigan that have gone to Michigan State, Alabama, all over the place that I've known. And again, just being humble. But again, it all goes back to a mindset.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And you in the Maverick mindset, right? You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's so fascinating. With all that we do, the core similarity is there's the internal game that is absolutely needed to get a hold of to really understand, to know who you are and how do you operate and how you engage with the world. And then there's the external, knowing the business models, if you will, which you're powerhouse in, which is why you're able to do all the different businesses that you touch on, is because there's certain models that work, and they can work in every industry or every type of business. And once you know those models, you can apply them and create a difference as well. I want to shift gears a little bit right now. You were also, and I didn't mention this before, absolutely key is you were also an author in the Be a Success Maverick book that we authored together. And in your chapter, I want you to share just a little bit. What was the major takeaway as you wrote that, as you were sharing it? What's the major takeaway you want the readers to take from that chapter?
Well, I was in both your books. I was in both your books. Your very first one, I think I was in 2 and 3. So I was in the purple one, and I have that one there, and I have the other one also too. I was in it, so don't forget. Yep. But you know what is to understand the mindset and understanding, like, I want to flip homes. You know what I mean? And I want to quit my job, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. But have a plan, right? And that's where I believe you come in. And no, I know for sure you come in, is to have a plan, right? You have a plan. You can't just say, I'm flipping homes today. Flipping homes takes money, and especially today. So my thing is to understand, hey, when I was writing both chapters, there were different chapters that I wrote, and I believe I was in chapter 10. I think I am pretty much guaranteed, but and it's funny how that's my favorite number. But it was just to have an understanding, like the 1, 2, 3 steps. You know what I mean? The basic steps of having this. And this is what I wanted to tell to the audience, is it's just basic steps. Now, for example, being successful. You see other people be successful, but they had a mindset to get there. And let's take it back further. You're working at a company, what have you, and you got taught by these people, but you're going to change it to make it better for you. And maybe you've even improved it better. So my thing is, what I wanted to get out of that book for people, which was great. And I had a lot of people call me about the whole book, where I give them our students, and they love to read it. And that's one of the things too that I do, is I give it to my students, and that read this whole book, and then come up, what was your Maverick mindset? What was your mindset for going through every chapter? And we all have it. Why we're in this book, and to have in common, to tell these people to have a better understanding on what we do, a smarter avenue to think successful, and 1, 2, 3 steps. So that's all I wanted people to understand, is like, hey, flipping a home or doing the construction on the home is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't cut corners. And that was my main thing.
Gosh, yes. Don't cut corners. Don't change the formula.
No.
It works. Follow the steps and you'll get the results. Change it. Miss a step. I always say to my students, your results may vary. You want to change the formula, you'll get different results. I don't promise they'll be better. I don't promise they'll be worse. They're definitely going to be different. And it's, really great message. Really great message.
And don't forget too, as us as mentors and teaching, a lot of people like, where do you learn a lot of where do you learn a lot? Of course, we're constantly learning if you want to earn, but don't you believe too, you learn a lot of times from your students, because they come up with a question that it's from like Kabagazoo that you don't even know what it is. It's like, what? And it's like, and you have that aha moment. Right? Like, wow, that was a good way to look at it. And it's like, you know what I mean? And then it turned out to something else, like, well, I just learned from them.
Always. Yeah, it's amazing. And I'll tell you, especially during the COVID years, if you will, with all the hardship, all the shifts, all the challenges that people have had over the last couple of years, teaching this and being a mentor to so many people was my saving grace. It was what helped me through the toughest times during the last couple of years. It was that I was there supporting them and sharing the message and having that engagement. kept me on task. And I think it's so important for people to stay connected, stay involved, continue to understand that there's more to learn, to grow, and to develop. And that engagement really helps.
Well, let's talk about COVID then. It is what it is. It was out there and it happened. It closed 20% of businesses, like, especially a lot of restaurants and things in that nature. But my concern is how many of those, the entrepreneurs that their business got destroyed from COVID, that they were in the right state of mind to continue. Like that, nothing is going to stop me, because I could have been like, yeah, COVID affected my business from flipping homes, because people weren't selling. They got to stay in their home. From my contractors catching COVID, to my subs, to 30 people around me catching COVID. Things are stopping. Still, things at the ports aren't coming in. I had to take money. Thank God I had, and that's where people go wrong. You have to save too for that rainy day. I'm sure all of your mothers have told your fathers, save for that rainy day, right? At least 6 months. How many people even have, like, even on my radio show, we just got done talking about living trusts and probate and things. How many people actually have a living trust in place? How many of you listeners said, like, if you die tomorrow, where's your assets going? You know what I mean?
I would venture to say that most people haven't even heard of what you're just talking about. So for all of you listening, look up living trust, and you will be opening up a whole Pandora's box for yourself, only well worth it. Go research that on how to protect wealth. It's really key. And I do want to mention, you also just highlighted your radio show. Talk about your radio show, give a plug.
Yeah. So definitely. So listeners, you can go to the App Store on Google App or Apple Podcasts or Apple Play or just any app store, and you can go to 590 AM. That you don't have to listen in it to your AM radio. It's 590 AM, and download the app. And I'm on every Saturday at 12 p.m. It's called Anthony Patrick Roadmap on Real Estate, and I talk the truth. Paul, you've been on there a couple times, I think 2 or 3 times, and we just talk about the mindset. And I'm going to be having you on again, talking about mindset. And that's the most important today. Like, you hang around, and we just talk everything from escrow, title, probate, living trusts. What is escrow? The third party. What does title do for you? Home inspections, liens, flipping homes, dealing with contractors, dealing with handyman, what should you pay them, and just everything you need to know. And then what I do too, you can go to Anthony@anthonypatrick.net and email me if you want to listen to any type of radio. So in other words, you say, hey, Anthony, could you talk about this in real estate, about acquiring land, about building? You know what? In just my last 2 shows before the end of the year, they were about like the number 1 emails I continue to get. So it's every Saturday at 12 p.m. A roadmap on real estate with Anthony Patrick.
Awesome. We're going to go right into a lightning round now, just so that they get to know you just a little bit better.
Okay.
What is, with all of our listeners all around the world, favorite book that you would recommend for them to read? Again,
I'm going to go back, and I've read it at least 5 times, Rich Man, Poor Dad. You know what I mean? So but when I was thinking too, when you asked me, what I think about there's a book, it just came to my head, and I know why I say it's called Move Your Cheese. It's about where, what I'm talking about? I don't remember the author, and I usually I had it here somewhere, but you know what I mean? It's where the concept of life gives you obstacles. You know what I mean? You got to, like if you're in a maze, you got to go find that cheese. You know what I mean? Like the mouses do, because eventually a mouse will find that cheese if you put him in a maze. Right. But it's about the man who went through his, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Great book. And it's a book from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And yet now I've heard that book mentioned more often than I have in the last 15. Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah, there it is. But I was having it somewhere, but I'm brain farting. So.
And it's all, man, the last couple of years, Who Moved My Cheese? The people that have survived, like you and I, that have even thrived over the last couple of years, we got clear with who moved our cheese. We had to figure out, all right,
because of COVID
challenge, new environment, new things happening. How do we maneuver to still get our cheese? to still create a win for us and everybody around us. And great reference. Great book. Yeah, cool stuff. The favorite movie.
Okay, I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan. So, and you know what, I was thinking about other things too. So it's so funny, listeners. But I'm going to go with all the Rocky movies because the underdogs and always persevering. And then there's like a lot of movies. I don't remember where he says, I don't know. And I have it in my hall over there in my office where you keep fighting and fighting back and you're just as good as your last punch. And the only person who's going to make you is you. And that's when he was like he was coming back to fight and he was older. Remember that, yeah.
I think it was 3 or 4 or 5.
It's a 6, but where you got to, you're only going to quit blaming others. You know what I mean? That one right there. And you know what? For all you, I watch also too. I'm going to go with the sentimental side. I do like Still Magnolias, which is a tearjerker, and I like the movie Grease. So I'm just throwing extra movies out there because I'm diversified. I'm diversified.
Hold on. Still Magnolias, Rocky, and Grease.
I'm right there. I'm diversified.
You can't get more diversified than that. All right, favorite singer or band?
I'm a totally 80s, so everything in the 80s, but like I'm a Bruce Springsteen, Tom Petty, Elvis Costello, things in that nature. And again, I'm going to have to go with Elvis Presley.
Awesome. We've got listeners all around the world, people that are in real estate as well as people that are outside of real estate. And what are your final words of wisdom that you'd want to share with everyone as their big takeaway from this conversation?
Oh, no, definitely. Listen, listeners. I started my business, believe it or not, with $1,000. But what made me successful is when I left the other company I was working with, because of who I was and my humbleness, they left with me. And they were already done with the other company. I didn't step on any toes. But they said, hey, we want to invest with you because you're true. Okay. So that I already built a platform of who I was. Okay. So they invested in me. We started flipping homes. But then again, remember, I started, as Paul said, from a handyman. So I started on the ground floor. So I started where I was painting. And I'll never forget this. And I have to tell the listeners here, I was painting. We were up till late at night doing jobs and stuff like that, where we had a deadline. And I'll never forget to this day, humbleness, where a realtor came in and we were still there at 6 a.m. and she came in around 8. My crew was there. We didn't really sleep. We had to get the job done. And she came in and was like, oh, you guys are still here? Like, oh, you guys all smell. My clients are coming in, because now we were cleaning and everything like that.
Right.
And it's like, wow. And I didn't say anything because like high end comes in a Mercedes back. And this was years ago. And I'll never forget to this day. She made us feel like we were just dirty people and made us feel like, her eyes and everything. And I'll never forget how life works. And I didn't say anything. I said, hey man, we're going to get out of here. God bless you. And we'll move out of your way. And she was like, well, hurry up, blah, blah, blah. I'll never forget 5 years later, she was waiting tables. And I said, aren't you, what's her name, a realtor? I go, what happened? Well, the market turned and blah, 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 which it did. And she goes, yeah, that made me humble. She said, that made me humble. Look at me today. I'm right. I said, yeah, do you remember how you talked to us over there on that house in San Bernardino? Remember, it was a pink house. And she goes, oh, that was you guys in there? I said, yeah. She goes, wow. I said, well, I own a real estate company now. And it's like, she goes, and we talked and we had our things. So, but one of my things is be humble, have a mentor. I'm telling you, having a mentor. How many mentors do you have right now in your life?
3 or 5, depending on how you count.
I'm at the 5. I'm like 5 or 6 mentors. You have to keep good people around you. Okay. That's my number one thing. Don't quit your job until you have direction, unless you have money in the bank, because everybody wants to flip properties like I do. And flipping properties, think about this. If you have the 91-day flip rule, I can get into all this real estate stuff here, but in California, you flip a house, and you have if is it just a regular rehab or what have you, but you're pulling permits. And because of COVID right now, the things are taking longer. So you're not probably the average flip right now. You're probably taking 4 to 5 months. Usually you can get them done in 3 if you do them correctly. If you're just painting carpet and changing doors and not doing any type of really construction. But be careful on what you do, because a lot of times you're going to run into problems and you have no one to turn to. And that one mistake, as they say, 90% of realtor people who start flipping are out of the business with 1 year because they lose $50,000. They don't have that go-to guy. So my final thought, as I say right here, is get a mentor to change your life. If you don't want a job, think about this. If you're going to pay 20 grand, 30 grand, or 10 grand, whatever it is, for education, to educate yourself to be a better person, it's the same thing like paying for college, right? You're going to college for knowledge. Right? So if you want to be a flipper, if you just want a great mindset, or if you want to sell hats or whatever, you need someone who's been there and done that. But you have to have that mindset, because you're going to fail more times than succeed. If you look at me today, I have New Harvest Ventures where I flip homes, New Harvest Realty. My best realtor, my business partner is a realtor that helps sell the company. Sell the houses. And then I have BCB Construction, what I own, that I manage the project. So don't you think today that I have established where you make an offer on a house, I can make an offer more than you, because my profits are going to be more because I'm running the whole thing. So think about what you're up against. So you have to have a mindset. And I recommend, I go to Paul, talk to him. He has classes all the time. You need that mindset. And bottom line, mindset, Maverick mentality.
I appreciate that, Anthony. And you want to know everything about real estate, you know where to go. Anthony's been through it all on all sides, on all levels. And the test of time has proven his worth. It's what we've been talking about so much in the underlying theme of this show has been, man, you do it right, you stay the course, you can create a life and a future for you and everybody around you that is real joy. And it's got to have the people around you do all the right things. Anthony Patrick, what a pleasure. Great connecting with you. Great seeing you today. You want to know all about Anthony. You want to connect with him. You want to reach out to him about the radio show, listen to him on the radio show, or do anything in real estate, especially in the California area, which is he's hands-on with you. All his contact information is right here. Go ahead and reach out to him. You will absolutely find just great heart, great soul, and a welcoming hand right there on the other side. Please do so. Thank you so much, Anthony, for everything that you do, all that you are. For everyone here, this is Paul Finck, the Maverick Millionaire. This is the Maverick Do It Different podcast. Thank you so much for being here. Till next time, everyone. Thanks for listening to Paul Finck. That's me, the Maverick Millionaire, and the Maverick Do It Different podcast. You can listen to us anytime, 24/7 on your podcast listening platform of choice. Introduce us to your friends, give us 5-star rating and subscribe, and share us across all your social media platforms to anyone that could really utilize this message right now. Till next time, everyone.